What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sunday watch list. I think this next week, in the next couple weeks, I think we're gonna have a lot of opportunities. Starting off with SPY, right? Let's start off with SPY. I think on the daily chart, as you guys can see, we have been on an uptrend, right? Low, higher low, higher low, higher lows here, all throughout here, even highs, right? Higher highs, higher highs. This whole chart just says uptrend, right? And as of recently, this uptrend has just broken, right? And what are we doing now? Now that this uptrend has broken, we did not make a higher low, right? We did not make a higher low up here. Otherwise, this would have continued to uptrend. So now that this trend is starting to break, I'm expecting a short-term downtrend right now. As you can see, we have a high, a lower high, a lower high, and a lower high. And also, we have a low, lower low, lower low. We just got to break below this 508 level here for us to start pushing down into the previous highs here at 503 to 505. I think this is going to be our next zone that we can come to. Anything below that, that's where it starts getting ugly. Because on the daily chart, below that zone, we have this big gap fill that goes down to 497. Right? 500 is a psychological level. I'd say it's important to watch that as well. But I mean, even on this daily chart, like this thing looks pretty bearish, right? Right, look at the 9 and 21 hold on the whole way up, right? The 9 holds, coming onto the 21, it holds. 9 and 21 holding, and the 9 and the 21 are no longer holding up here, right? We had this bearish engulfing candle here that you can see the top and bottom of it. If I make this a straight line here, the top and bottom of this was a bearish engulfing to the previous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candles. And then we have an inside bar to the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, right? An inside bar is basically the candles inside of it. You either wait for a break of above or below, and we're getting that break below. So for scalps and day trades, I would look for rejections of that 513 to 512 area. That is going to be my rejection point, kind of like this whole area right here, from here to like right here. I will look for rejections in this zone. And personally, I think this looks really good, right? Next level is down is going to be 508. Like I said, below 508, we're going to have room down to this zone down here. And then the previous high here at 503. And below that, nothing but room down to 497, 500, which is that big gap fill. So I personally, how I would trade this would be, like I said, for day trades and scalps, rejects off that area, short down to here. If you want to be super safe and want to be able to capitalize on the move, I would buy a month out contracts. And, if we break above this trend line or even above like this 521 area, I would use that as a stop loss. It's pretty big, right? It's a wide stop, but you're able to catch a move. If this does continue on a downtrend, we don't know how this could move, but we could get a pullback to the trend line, reject again, and then make the move down. So essentially, a month's out of time, if you want to be able to catch a move down, would be super safe, and you don't have to hold it the whole month. Once it hits your target of 503 or even 500, you could, I would take profit, right? This is a new, this does look like a new trend that's starting to form. What would invalidate is a trend break, a new high above 518 to 521. That would probably get us pushing back up to these levels. But that's my overall analysis on SPY. I think it looks really good. Keep an eye on that, right? For the bullish scenario, like I said, if we start reclaiming that 513, or even this trend line, I'm gonna use my trend line because this is where we are making lower highs, right? It's gonna be my analysis on SPY for the week. If we go to QQ, before we go to QQQ, let's see what economic data we have this week. I don't think we have nothing too major. I know we do have Powell speaking on Tuesday, though. Let's see what he has to say. Other than that, initial jobless claims Thursday. and existing home sales, leading economic indicators Thursday. I think that should be good for the week. Like I said, SPY as well, QQQ, we have this huge demand zone down here that every time we come to it, it's like this 434, 435, 433 area. Every time we come here, we just bounce, right? And it's the top of the range is going to be like up here. Every time we come up here, we catch rejections. So we're in a range. And same with QQQ, right? We've been on a really strong uptrend where every time, right, we have a low, higher low, higher low, higher low, holding the 9 and the 21 all the way, higher lows, higher lows. But here, we are not making higher highs, right? Even here, highs, higher highs. We are not making higher highs. And this low here would have to get taken out for us to confirm a downtrend. A break and retest of this has a gap fill all the way down to 425. The next level is like 422. But 425 is the next main area of where that gap fill ends. So as you can see, right, I draw the top of the zone again, the bottom again, bottom of the zone, bottom of the zone down here, and then top of the zone. Below that has room to like 424, like kind of like this area here, and then really like down here. And that's a pretty big gap fill, right? It's a pretty big gap fill below 432 area down to 425. And as you can see, the 9 and 21 are not holding no more, not starting to hold. So we'd have to see if this does break below this area, this can get us a move down. Overall, I think this is gonna provide a good opportunity for a swing as well. Like you could buy a month out, it'll probably hit sooner than that, but it's the safest way to potentially trade this if you're not gonna scalp or day trade. A swing down to these levels is a great way to capitalize on the move. That's gonna be in my analysis for SPY and QQ. For the bullish scenario, bounces in this area if buyers do step in, get us back to the top of the range, and above this range, we push new highs. Apple, going into Apple, right? Apple approached a huge demand zone down here. This 168 to 166, 165 area. Huge demand zone. You can see every time we come here what happens, right? Come down here and we catch a huge bounce to highs. We come down here, catch a slight bounce here up to the 178. And what did we do last week? This week we bounced and pushed up to 178. So last time we pushed up into that 178 level, you could see that we caught a rejection and we also caught a rejection there on Friday. So that is a area where sellers are currently stepping in. So as of right now, I think Apple still looks very strong. This is probably the strongest name as of right now. If I go to a daily chart, you'll see this looks very strong. A weekly chart, this is a very strong weekly candle. For me personally, I want to see a little bit more data for me to go long on this setup because the overall market looks weak. And this 180 level here, this 180 level, if I go to a 4 hour, you'll see it clearly. Right? It's kind of like for me to be like fully long on this, I want to see it reclaim that level because for me to go long up here, it's a bit risky because if I go long here, there's another big resistance here that could, just get us back below this and it'll push back down to the bottom of that zone. So I would need it to reclaim 180 for me to be bullish on Apple. Right? It does look strong on these other on the higher time frames, but I'd prefer the 180 level to reclaim since since the majority of this move already happened, right? If you didn't catch it down here, right? A lot of people who did are probably taking a lot of profits here. We'll see how strong this demand zone really is. 180, above 180, I like. Amazon, right? This looks really good as well. We approached all-time highs and we could see the reactions that have happened at all-time highs before. Rejection, rejection, and here we are catching a slight rejection here. Two scenarios, right? This could either be, like a hanging man. It looked like a hanging man at the start of the week, but now it's starting to catch a rejection there. We have like this trend line down here that we could catch it down to like the 180 level. Um, we'll see. If you want to go short on this area, it's a good risk reward because you could just keep stops above the highs and ride the wave down. This would also be like a swing trade for me personally, at least to catch down to the trend line or back down to this like 175 level. That would be a decent setup. Microsoft just consolidating right now too. It's kind of ranging from highs to this level. I'll be a little bit more patient with this one. Going into the semiconductors, I do like the setups on these right now. Nvidia rejected 975 once, twice, starting to form lower highs. This 850 level played as a demand zone. As you can see, we reclaimed it. But this previous trend line right here, we have one touch, two, and now we broke, retested, now retested again, and just using it as a rejection point right now. For me to be bearish on this, I need to see it break and hold below that demand zone for a push down to 822. Or really, if you want to be super patient, I think below the 823, 822 area, that'll give you a move down to here. That's probably one of the safest ways to trade it back below this area. AMD, I like a little bit better. Let's go to AMD. AMD, I am really liking this setup because we have approached the bottom of the zone now. See, this is the bottom of the zone. Demand zone, bounce up, bounce up. Here we have this demand zone. We are approaching, with some weakness, right? These are some strong. We approached pretty weak. We came down with some strength. But there are two scenarios here, right? We either catch a bounce, hold up, and start pushing back. We break this trend line. This trend line goes all the way from the highs. One, two, third touch. A break and retest, the hold of this area can get us a move back up. But as of right now, I will be watching a break and hold below 160 for a push down to 150. I think that looks really good on AMD. I think this is the weekly charts look a lot more bearish too. Daily charts, this is like a big head and shoulders. There we have a left shoulder, we have a head and the right shoulder at the same area, neckline. We'll see if this one plays out. At least a push to 150, with the Qs and everything else looking weak, that could be a big possibility. Meta, I'd watch below 505, 504.50 really for a push down to 500 and this trend line. I think it could start pushing back to this 480 level. Google, Tesla. So this is the thing with Tesla, right? On the weekly chart, we are on a downtrend, right? Lower highs, and we still have not approached the area that I've been talking about for the past couple weeks of where I'd be interested for longs. That's going to be the 150, 153 to 155 area. I just want to see it price action right here. I want to see a candle form here to give me confirmation. As of right now, we are ranging from the 183 to the 161 area. If Tesla does break below that, it probably is going to catch a bigger sell-off. And the next level isn't all the way to down here. So we'll see what happens with that. Another thing that is important to be aware of, we do have earnings weeks coming up. Not this week, but I believe in the next couple weeks. Like if we go to Apple, right? Apple has earnings on May 2nd, Amazon, April 25th, Microsoft, April 25th. Nvidia is not till May. AMD is approaching soon, April 30th. Google, April 23rd. Meta. So around the 20 to 30th, right? From the 20th to the 30th, we have a lot of big companies reporting earnings, which is super important, right? I feel like a lot of things can change due to that, but we'll see how that plays out. As of right now, those are some of my favorite setups for the week. Another setup I will be paying attention to is SMCI. We have like this head and shoulders, right? Head and shoulders aren't always picture perfect, but this is a left, a head, and a right shoulder. You can see this is a neckline. There's like a slanted one, right? Like I said, head and shoulders won't always be like if you Google a head and shoulders, it'll look like this on Google, right? And only those typically it is what it looks like, but there's slanted ones as well. And this would be one of those, right? We already broke and retested. We're forming lower highs. So if I were to trade this setup, I want us to stay below this trend line. to see it form a lower high, and this trend line that is basically, using it as a retest. So rejections anywhere around this area would be good to catch this back down, potentially back down to this next support at 790, and then really like 706. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this setup. This is also a swing trade, but those are my favorite setups for the week. I hope you guys have a good and safe trading week.